The Birth of Darkness, a Shadow and Bone prequel. There is a world known as the Grishavir, where many kingdoms reign. A plague has come over the land, creating confusion, killing many, and giving way to evil factions throughout the realm. The city of Ravka is one of the last kingdoms that still has some sense of honor. The king of Ravka summoned the high priestess Bagra of the mystical Grisha people. He continues her journey into the Bone Road, vicinity of the True Sea, to find a cure and save the realm. It has been said that there is a mystical sea kelp that may be able to end the devastation and misery the plague is causing. The Bone Road is a dangerous and mostly uncharted area of the True Sea because it is said that a sea serpent guards the waters. While she is searching for the cure, her ship is caught in a hurricane and her sails are broken. Bagra and her handmaiden are the only survivors, and with little hope for themselves. They spend 2 weeks aimlessly floating when suddenly a grandiose ship appears. After dwindling with the thought of death upon the high seas, their spirits are immediately lifted. A grandiose ship with a gracious-seeming nobleman named Rusli brought them aboard and offered refuge and safe passage. He tells them that he, in fact, has the mystical sea kelp cure for the illness plaguing the land. In Bagra's mind, fate has been in control the whole time. But fate truly has been in control for not only her, but the rest of the Grishavir world, and she will have to make the ultimate decision no mother should ever have to. Rusli is actually a shape-shifted version of the sea serpent, who has been cursed and has desperately been trying to break this curse of eternally guarding the Bone Road. He immediately knew that Bagra was a Grisha, and that she is the key to Rusli, his freedom, and holds the power to make him supreme ruler of darkness over the Grishavir. The first night slips her some mystical sea kelp in her soup, and continues to do so. For all others in the realm, this would cure the plague, but in her case, places her as a pawn for his procreation and ultimate power vie. Over the next months, she gradually falls Rusli's spell, but her handmaiden is always quietly weary. Bagra ends up falling in love with Herod and becomes pregnant with twins. After becoming pregnant, she starts to forget her purpose for the journey to save the Grishavir. Her handmaiden's concerns grow day by day, but she can't appear insubordinate to Bagra. His overall welcoming mood shifts day by day, and one night they both sneak into his chamber where they witness him performing dark magic with a lock of Bagra's hair and an egg, and realizes she is being placed under his spell. She then realizes that this curse is in fact being placed on her unborn twin children. They quickly knock the cauldron over to stop the spell and grab the mystical sea kelp for the cure to the plague. Chaos ensues as they luckily get into a lifeboat with the help of one of the crewmen to get away from the now-known warlock, who is trailing behind them. Bagra can feel her handmaiden's terror brewing inside her and contemplates how they should proceed and how to put her at any sort of ease. They manage to maneuver toward shore through a rocky area that the larger boat can't get to, and make it to the shore to a lighthouse near the town Hijar. Knowing they must continue to flee, the lighthouse keeper points the light towards the path that only the small boat could get through, where a path through the mountains leads to another Grisha community, Ovrut. They are in more danger now than the curse has brought. The unborn children are still in a lot of danger, and a dangerous future awaits. The danger now is so much more than just a plague. The evil surrounding the plague and her unborn children are all tied to this Rusli, an evil she is needing to flee but also face. The lighthouse keeper came to them and told them that they shouldn't start the journey, because it is not safe in the mountains for a pregnant woman at night. The handmaiden wanted to start walking the path immediately that the light keeper told them, but Bagra, thinking it would be safer to stay one night where they were already at, and walk at first light. As the first rays of sun warmed the mountains, they started walking off through the rocky terrain, making their way towards the Grisha town Overut. Midday they find a stream and drink from. Suddenly, a woman appears. She greets them and introduces herself as Ananda Jamita with a smile on her face. Bagra, already nervous from everything they have been through, looked at this old woman, wondering why she was aimlessly walking into the mountains as well. Ananda told them that she had been walking in the kingdom as a seamstress and was seeking the hair of the two-headed goat to weave a protection cloak. She told them that if they could help her, she would see to the worthiness of the protection cloak and they could have it. The cloak would protect them in a moment of dire need from evil, but only if they could obtain the goat's fur. The handmaiden wasn't sure about her help, but didn't want to stress out Bagra, so she went along with it. They decided that they needed the magic cloak to get back to Ravka. They find the goat, but she tells them that for her to share her fur, they needed to bring the succulent pine needles from the sweet pine trees in the forest of Verjada in 3 days, or they can't have the fur. So, they set out into the forest, which luckily for them, the town of Ovrut is just on the outskirts of the forest. While in the village, they meet another Grisha high priestess, Amka. Amka informs them that the goat is tricking them, and that the only way to get the fur is to kill her. This goes against Grisha teachings because they are never supposed to slay a mystical creature unless they are defending themselves. She also tells them that they can enchant the two-headed goat to sleep and shear the fur with the sap of the same tree, the pine needles they are seeking, so they can create the potion with the sap and drench the needles. They return to the goat and feed her the needles. She falls asleep and they share her fur. While the goat is asleep, she starts talking in her sleep and reveals the reality that Bagra will have to pay the ultimate price for the whole journey. She will have to give up her unborn daughter and separate the twins forever, placing her daughter in hiding. If the two twins ever come together, the sea serpent will be able to enact the final part of the spell and overtake the Grishavir. A month has now passed through the various trials, and knowing the new prophecy, they return to the old woman Amanda Jamita, where she weaves the cloak for them, and they transverse back to her village of Ovrut. Bagra goes into labor and delivers the twins, and Amka offers to take Alina, her newborn daughter, into hiding. Although her heart is broken to give up her daughter and keep her son, she knows that she has to, not only for her daughter, but for the rest of the Grishavir. If not, the warlock sea serpent, Rusli, would again reclaim the cure for the plague, but also take over the rest of the world. Bagra leaves Alina with Imka and takes her son Alexandre back to Ravka with the mystical sea cup. She passes it on and creates a potion to deliver to the population. The king, overjoyed, makes Bagra his main advisor and spiritual end-all. The potion, however, was not enough to cure everyone in the realm, because they didn't have enough and couldn't risk going back to the Bone Road to acquire more.